everyone. Welcome back to Sideways in Time. If you're watching on YouTube, which you very well should be, and I think possibly Spotify now, trying to figure that out. This might be a video on Spotify as well. We'll see.
Oh, good. This will be great for our first video,
right? I think it's gonna work. Like, I think it might catch on. So you might notice that we're sitting in a possibly a behind the counter of a cafe.
Yeah.
Right now, it's very.
Welcome
clean.
to the Sideways in Time Bistro.
Oh man, you have not. Oh man, if we did that, I would be so cracked out. Because I drink a lot of coffee as it is, and I did this morning, and I'm probably going to after we're done here at Sideways in Time Bistro. So I wasn't gonna reveal why we're sitting in this bistro instead of our normal TV static wonderland, but I think it's funnier that I do. I can't, for some reason, I can't open up my Adobe software, so I couldn't make a custom layout for us this day. And so now, you know, you can get a, what's that? What are those green waters called? They're like fancy.
The green water? Is that Perrier?
We got some Perriers. We got some Zoom coffee.
Got some fish. Got some plants.
It's like a spider plant, yeah.
And
so, anyways, everybody, I'm
coffee grinder.
Yeah, that's there. See, this is the reason why you have to watch the YouTube channel, because anybody listening right now is probably like, what the fuck is he talking? Like, he's just.
Yeah, because we make so much more sense in video.
Yeah, well, all right, fair enough. So anyway, I'm your host, Lucha Chris. This is my host, also that is a host, Patriot Pat. So
hey,
what's going on in your life, Pat?
Let's see.
We're gonna talk very positive in this atmosphere. It's just very bright, and
I know. I feel good. I feel like, you know, saving a turtle or something.
Like oxygen is around us.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. You fucking prick.
Maybe go play hacky sack in the quad later.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
No, I'm good. I have eye surgery next week, so I don't know when we're planning on recording next week.
We'll figure it out.
And yeah.
You don't have to use your eye to podcast, luckily.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't use anything else. I just fucking wing it. So yeah. Well, am I breaking the exciting news, or are you?
I think you should.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was on Twitter yesterday, and I saw that Uncle Mick Foley is coming to town, coming to the Improv in Zona, and so I said to wife, look at this, Mick Foley's got, and she said, you and Chris should go. So I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then I didn't even text Chris. I just bought the tickets, and then and bought the VIP tickets. We're gonna meet Uncle Mick and get autographs and pictures and hugs, cookies, and
he's got cookies.
Yeah, and finger guns. And
it didn't say cookies on the fucking info.
That's what I'm going to have him sign. I'm going to bring a box of fudge stripes and have him sign. So you could bring one item from home. So we're
going to eat them while we're in there?
Huh?
Are we going to eat them while we're in there watching them?
I think so. I think we'll share them with them.
Yes.
And then so it'll have to be an unopened pack, because I don't want him to think we tampered with it. Yeah. So then I text Chris, because it was going to be my Christmas present to Luch, and I got so giddy that I just texted him and said, "Hey, I just bought tickets. So Merry Christmas, Luch."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hail Santa.
Hail Santa. Deck the motherfucking halls.
Dude, I'm stoked. So I was lucky enough, what it was, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it is now, probably not quite that long ago, but in St. Louis at Helium, I got to meet him, and he drew me a sacco on a sock, and he signed my book. So that was the 20-year anniversary of the Hell in the Cell match, that tour he did. And this one is the 20-year anniversary of Have a Nice Day, his first book, which is the book he signed the last time I met him. I don't know if I'm going to bring anything, because, like, in all honesty, I want him to sign all, like, 300 action figures that I have of his, but that's not realistic. So
Okay,
maybe
well,
I'll just grab one of them or something.
if
I'm not
you
really an
bring one,
autograph guy.
well, okay, but if you want, bring two, and I'll have one of yours be my object from home.
But what about the snacks?
Oh fuck, I forgot. Maybe. Oh, I know.
Gotta have snacks.
I'll have him sign my framed picture of Jake the Snake Roberts. That won't be awkward.
That would be fucking hilarious, dude. Oh my god.
Can you sign this picture?
We need, side note, we need to put that down in our pre-show notes from today.
Can you sign this? Can you sign this, please,
oh
Mr. Foley? The picture of another wrestler that's already signed by him.
I'm putting that in the script. Anyway, so oh my god, that's hilarious. So anyways, yeah, super excited, and I appreciate it, Patrick. You and wife are just saints among fucking shitheads. Oh, and I'm so excited because out of all of the people, celebrity quote unquote, in the world, like I like, you know, I've grown up not idolizing, I don't like using that word necessarily, but definitely looking up to, you know, people in the entertainment industry my whole life, obviously, but he has still consistently been apparently one of the like most genuinely good, nice, just anti-celebrity, you know, like I'm obviously a huge fan of his growing up. But it's cool because in these live events that he does, it's kind of comedy, but it's also kind of like Kevin Smith going up on stage and just talking, telling stories, which is even better in my opinion sometimes.
Well, that was when I got that picture of Jake. I actually got to open for him, and
oh yeah,
you know, and that's what he does. He tells a bunch of road stories and stuff that are
right.
You know,
that's what Steve-O does too, basically. Like I like all this new wave of whatever this new you know, post comedy. Like it's these guys that aren't comedians, but you can't deny that they're not like small stage entertainers.
Yeah,
I guess would be a great way to put it.
They have great stories. They have great timing, and
they're funny.
I mean,
you know,
Jake's fucking hysterical when he's telling his stories,
especially since he sounds like this the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, it kind of shaped today's episode. Not the background, but the contents of the episode. Because, you know, Mick being a wrestler / author / entertainer, live entertainer now with the tours that he does, and mixed with Glenn, our buddy Glenn, shout out Glenn, had tweeted us at asking what our Mount Rushmore of stand-up comics were. And, you know, obviously Patrick is a stand-up comedian. I'm a massive fan, have done 2 open mics and they went horribly wrong. And then now, you know, this news with Mick Foley coming to Kansas City, you know, it's that mix of stand-up comedy and pro wrestling. So we figured, fuck it. That's actually a great idea. So we're going to start with a Mount Rushmore. We have 2 Mount Rushmores this week and a what if. I forgot to do the intro.
It's overload.
Yeah. So it's a whole comedy based episode. I should have done this within the first 2 minutes of the show. So, you know, fuck it. Who cares? If you're listening, you're going to hear about it, right? So anyway, we're going to do, the first one's going to be the Mount Rushmore of stand-up comics. And you want to start or do you want me to start?
I want to hear yours first. I went first last time.
Okay, so this one's tough. But with comedians, like I have this huge wide range of favorite comics. Like it's almost a never-ending thing, right? Because there's so many. But it's the same with movies. There's a million of them and I love thousands of them, but I still know what my top 5 favorite movies are. And I could kind of interchange them with 1 or 2 other ones from time to time, but it's the same way with comedians for me. And I'm not going to go in any particular order, but there's oh my God, I'm having a stroke. There's a specific reason why I picked the ones I picked.
Oh shit.
And now I'm gonna have trouble because I kind of figured you were gonna go first, and so I wrote 5 just in case you said one of mine. So now I got to choose between my 5, and that sucks. I'm gonna go first just because he's at the top of the list that I wrote down. Dave Chappelle. As far as modern comedy, he's kind of transcended comedy since he's been back, where even his comedy specials aren't necessarily him being all that funny. He's just kind of talking, and he usually has a lot of heart behind what he's saying, and he's getting in a lot of trouble. And I'm not going to get into either side of that, but there's no doubting that Chappelle's show will go down in history as one of the most iconic comedy skit shows of all time ever. And his stand-up obviously is hilarious. The movies, Half Baked being probably his best movie. He was at Chew, and I always forget about that, and Robin Hood Men in Tights. But he's one of those captains of the modern era of comedy. He is, every single person knows at least the name Dave Chappelle, which is a big deal. I also have to go with George Carlin, because anybody who's old enough or was into it enough, obviously, his comedy again went from being a very like poetic and like mathematic cerebral comedian, where it was more about words and how he used them, and it was very poetic in a weird way, to like the older he got, the more kind of the world was getting to him, and so he was starting to get more bitter, and then it became a lot more real and a little less slam poetry, and then he just started digging into it, and it became like a voice of that we all have that can't use, kind of thing. So we get to hear Carlin do it for us, like about all the negative things in the world and all that kind of stuff. Like, he went from the 7 words you can't say on TV or radio, shit, piss, fuck, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat, to, I think I added one, to being just like, hey, fuck the world, and here's why. And like, I don't know, for the type of person that I am and the personality that I'm growing to have, it made a lot of sense growing up, and he kind of helped shape a lot of the way I thought, unfortunately and fortunately. So Carlin is just one of the greats. Plus, he did all the fucked up shit he did in comedy, and then was like in Shining Time Station as the fucking train operator. Like, how does that have Robin Williams? Same thing. All the dirty shit he ever did, and then went and did all these kids movies. Like, it was a different time back then, clearly. Bill Burr, another modern general, in my opinion, because he's also another one like Chappelle that just gives no fucks, and he gives no fucks to the level of fucking cancel me. You can't. Try it. It ain't gonna work. Like, they're almost bulletproof when it comes to defending comedy and being a comedian and what that means to people on Twitter, like that kind of thing. Like, I don't know, he's another one of those ones, he kind of silently advocates comedy, like, not silently per se, but anyways, he's just fucking funny, and he's got a little bit of that Carlin in him where he's mad, but he's hilarious. And I don't know, I love pissed off comedians, I guess. And that being said, Don Rickles, because in all honesty, and I have to say this first before I go to Don Rickles, if you had said any of these, I was also going to say Norm Macdonald, and I could go on forever about that too, and I'm not going to. He was a fucking comedic genius. That's all that really needs to be said. But Don Rickles, though, like, was a pioneer. Like, if it wasn't for him, I don't think roasts would have been a thing for as long as they were. He was, like, for me personally, like, extremely inspirational as a kid growing up, loving to roast people. Like, it's my way of, like, how dogs sniff each other's asses to say, hey, what's up? What are you about? I'm kind of the same way with, like, once I'm comfortable enough to, like, just get into roasting battles with someone, that's my my language of love, in
That's
a lot of
100%
ways.
true.
Yeah. And it's because of guys like Don Rickles, because he was just such a up until the day he fucking died. The dude was like 1,000 years old and was quick-witted with his fucking insults, man. Like, the dude was funny forever, and he was inappropriate. He's another one that like gave no fucks. It's like, fuck you. This is literally what I do for a living. Like, and you love it. Shut up and fucking eat it. Like, I don't know. Don Rickles was the man, and
and he was another one. He was in fucking Toy Story.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's yeah. Anyways, I digress. Those are my guys, and like I said, Norm Macdonald as a honorable mention because I fucking love Norm Macdonald.
Yeah. Well, we only had one overlap actually.
Probably Carlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, like I told Glenn on Twitter, I've had this discussion so many times, and I've changed mine around and tweaked it and this and that. No, I forgot this person and this person. So
same. There's a lot I wanted to mention that
there's so many, but I mean, if I'm going with like the Mount Rushmore, and the reasons I believe each one belongs on there. Number one, Carlin. Well, the first one I'm going to name is Carlin because that's where the overlap. But also, I put Carlin on there because without Carlin, you don't have a Bill Burr.
Exactly.
You don't have, a lot of the. You don't have Mark. Was it Mark Maron? You don't have a lot of the abrasive comics. He was absolutely brilliant. And my favorite, we're in class. My personal favorite special of his was Back in Town.
That was great.
It was absolutely brilliant. And so I recommend everybody listen to that. He got bitter there for a while towards the end, but then his last special or two, couple specials, he came back to like his old form, but like with some of that bitterness. So it was a great
mix at the end.
Yeah. And then his early stuff, his stuff about stuff is hysterical.
Yeah. Exactly.
Second, I would put on there is Pryor.
That was another one that I just really wanted to put on the list. And
if you only know Richard Pryor from the movie, if you don't know who Richard Pryor is
as a comedian,
if you don't know who he is, because I mean, shit, he's been out of the business forever. You owe it to yourself to research him. His movies with Gene Wilder, Silver Streak, Stir Crazy, and See No Evil, Hear No Evil, all of them absolutely brilliant.
Did you ever see The Toy?
Yes, I love The Toy.
It was one of my favorite movies growing up.
It was so stupid but funny. Brewster's Millions.
Yeah. So Brewster's Millions. Oh fuck yeah.
If you
his records though, his comedy albums were unbelievable. Now people say without Red Fox there's no Pryor, which is true, but without Pryor there's no Chappelle. But Pryor was the one that exploded. I agree. Without Pryor there's no Eddie Murphy. Without Pryor there's no Chappelle. Without Pryor, just African American comedy. And even beyond that, like just his style of raw, rugged, just again that give no fucks thing came from him. Like him and Carlin, man. I absolutely love that. And his one special, I forget what it was called, but it was a concert where Patti LaBelle, I think, maybe it was Gladys Knight, opened, did a concert, and then afterwards Pryor did his bit, and I was on the floor just laughing my ass off. And these were two guys that I was watching. I've been watching stand-up since I was, knee high to a grasshopper. Yeah, same. I've always loved it. And these two, I mean, I was, 10, 12 years old watching Pryor and Carlin, and they're not clean by any stretch. Comedy was safe at my house, though, oddly enough. Yeah, it was funny. My parents wouldn't let me watch RoboCop or Predator or anything violent. If anything had a titty in it, I couldn't watch it. But they never said anything about stand-up comedy.
You know, for some reason, I don't know why. Maybe because it was all, you know, words. It wasn't, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's a goofy American way of thinking. I don't know. But number 3 is Brian Regan. And I put him on there because he is the funniest clean comedian ever. You can have him play in front of a bunch of drunk bikers, or you can have him play at a church. He's going to get raucous laughter at both.
It's a nice. That's a hard quality to keep up with too.
Yeah, and he is a pure comedian. He never wants to do TV or movies or anything like that. He's like, no, I'm a comedian. I like doing stand up.
Right.
So yeah, you owe it to yourself to look him up. His one album, I forget what it's called, but it's the one with Hooked on Phonics is one of the bits.
Oh yeah,
by far,
I remember that.
Top to bottom, one of the funniest albums ever. Yeah, so absolutely brilliant. My 4th one, and this is my only pure comedian on there. I mean pure comedian as a pure joke teller. I mean pure joke teller as a pure joke is just set up, punch, set up, punch, set up, punch. You look at the other guys, they're set up, blah, 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 punch, tag, 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 tag. Right. The best absolute pure joke teller, Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh yeah, he was great.
He was absolutely brilliant, and all he was set up, punch, set up, punch. Yep. I had 15 jokes about my wife, and you had a wife chunk, but it was all set up, punch, set up, punch, and nothing more, nothing. And that's all you need for a joke.
And another one, as far as like lineage wise, if it wasn't for him, and this is a weird comparison, and I don't mean to compare them as far as I think they seem like the same thing, but like Mitch Hedberg, he was literally just a 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. Like that was the joke, you know, like it was very quick. He had a million of them, you know, every once in a while you go into a little bit of a longer story, but essentially set him up.
Yeah, he was another quick one. Stephen Wright's another one. Yeah, so
there's so many. And all honesty, we should do an entire just stand-up comedy episode one of these days.
I might put a top 10 of my like favorite comedy albums out there.
Do it.
Yeah, just throw it on Twitter or something. Just because there's so many just ungodly funny albums, and a lot of them are from people that you might not even fucking know, or you might not realize are that goddamn funny. Because there have been a couple. I used to go to the fucking library. This was before Spotify. I'd just go get a bunch of comedy albums, and then when I was driving around, I was delivering pizzas as a side hustle. And I would just be throwing albums in and stuff. Some of them, were hot garbage. And then other ones, I'm like, almost pissing my pants laughing. And so yeah,
I agree. I think all of those are, and they're every one of them you mentioned, except for
Regan.
Yeah. All of them I had thought about in making my list. Not to discredit him at all, because like I said, I respect the fuck out of I respect the fuck out of what he does, because he's the clean one. But because again, in a world full of the raunchy give no fuckers, that we just mentioned, he stood out with them for being the opposite, which is really hard to do.
Well, and he was because he was clean. Comedy Central was able to do a live show with him,
right?
They broadcast live on comedy. You couldn't get away with that with other people because
no, I agree. So in keeping up with the theme of Mount Rushmore and comedy, and then also mixing that in there with that Mick Foley talk we just had, we're also going to do a Mount Rushmore of funny wrestlers. And I think, unless it screws with, well, it's not actually. So I guess what I'm going to say is, under the World Wrestling Entertainment moniker, so WCW, ECW, WWE, I want to keep it within that realm, unless you have some outside of that, which is fine. I kept mine within that realm. And you go first this time. So the Mount Rushmore of funny wrestlers.
Mount Rushmore of funny, and this is going to be kind of a fucking mixed bag because some of them are gimmicks and characters. Right. Some of them are just naturally fucking funny.
I had that struggle as well.
Wrestlers, you know. But I would first off, I would put R-Truth.
Fuck. Okay.
Dude is hysterical.
I'm gonna cross him offline.
The promo between him and Brock, which I'm not gonna put Brock on my list. I'll give him an honorable mention because he is funny, he is talented, but talented comedically. And what he's doing now with Sammy, I absolutely love. I think it's hysterical. But anyway,
I agree. Keep it up for just a second.
Okay, but yeah, the bit that before the Royal Rumble, when Drew won, you owe it to yourself if you haven't seen it to watch that. R-Truth, Brock Lesnar promo. It is hysterical. Another funny wrestler I would put in there that's not known for being funny is Triple H. Triple H is fucking hysterical. If you listen to his interviews, if you watch the what was it?
You still on R-Truth?
No, I'm talking about Triple H now.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you watch the interview where they're talking about the match in Saudi that was Brothers of Destruction versus DX.
Oh yeah.
The shit that Triple H says throughout that interview is just fucking hysterical. My wife and I walk around quoting it all the time.
He's very good at sarcasm.
It's just he's witty. He's just got a good wit about him. So he's just really, really funny. Somebody else I would put in the funny. Actually, I'm going. Who the fuck is that?
It's a Triple H car.
Oh, I thought it was Ultimate Warrior for a second.
No.
I don't
Hilarious
fucking know.
For a completely different reason.
Oh, okay. The next person I would put in the funny column. We're sticking with just the WWE WCW.
No, you don't have to.
Oh, okay. Oh, actually, somebody that was hysterical from back in the day that just popped in my head. That you know what, he's good enough. I'm going to put him in there. Norman Smiley.
Oh yeah, Norman, dude.
That
Smiley was
fucking hardcore.
That great wrestler.
And but hardcore Norman Smiley would he come out with the football helmet in the back every time. Yeah, that was great. The other person I think I would put in there, I would put Mick Foley in there. Did I steal another one from you?
No, actually, you didn't. No, but I was hoping that one of us was going to put Foley in there because it's kind of ties into what we're doing here.
Yeah, because if you haven't read Have a Nice Day, you owe it to yourself.
It's a great book.
It's a riot. And then the birthday bash or whatever with or the This Is Your Life with The Rock.
Well, and then
which was one of the highest rated segments on Raw ever.
Yep.
What the
And then his part in actually it was the creation of Mr. Sacco in the Vince McMahon bedpan fiasco with Stone Cold. Like I was telling somebody at work the other day, excuse me, speaking of Mick Foley, we were talking about the 3 faces of Foley, and technically it's 4 because Foley is the 4th. But there's technically, if you don't count Mick Foley, there is 4 faces because Mankind is technically 2 different Mankinds.
Yeah.
There's the original incarnation of Mankind, the brown suit, like squealing, tormented Mankind. And then there's the Have a Nice Day, Mr. Sacco Mankind. But I digress. Yes, he's fucking hilarious though.
Yeah, I actually put more effort into thinking about, even though I already had it locked and loaded, I put more effort into thinking about my actual comedian. And then I was like, oh yeah, we're doing a Rushmore of wrestlers. And I knew I wanted to do R-Truth and
well, it's okay because I picked 5 of these too. So you took my R-Truth, but I had one in the bag. Okay, so this one's tough because there's a lot of really naturally funny wrestlers. I think to start with, and again, this isn't necessarily my top to bottom, best to worst or whatever, but I think The Rock might be iconically the funniest wrestler of all time, because in all reality, his whole gimmick was humor. Like, he was very confident, but that was hilarious. The way he would cut people off, the whole, it doesn't matter. The way he, just the way he would cut somebody down by bringing them to the SmackDown hotel and lubing up his foot and turning that sumbitch sideways. It's just the way he talked. Everything he said was hilarious, even when you knew he was being serious. It was funny as fuck. Like, he was just very, again, charismatic and entertaining, and it came off funny most of the time. And still, like, even when you go and watch some of the movies that he's been in that are humorous, he's fucking hilarious. He was great in SNL every time he's hosted. Like, he's a very naturally funny guy, and I think being that he's one of the top wrestlers in the world in history, kind of almost have to put him on the list. Another one, and it took me a second because not a lot of people remember, I guess, but Kurt Angle was probably easily one of the funniest wrestlers in the entire world. Like, such an amazing athlete, wrestling or otherwise, pro wrestling or collegiate, like, or whatever he decided to do with his life. Taken very seriously, I'm sure, as a performer and an athlete, was able to make himself such a bratty, goofy, just annoying character until obviously like the Wrestle Machine Kurt Angle days, and then he just became a fucking monster, but which I loved equally as much. But Kurt Angle as a fucking as a shit heel was the funniest shit ever when I was watching in that prime time of that era of wrestling. Like, he was just so good. I also kind of have to put in Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to think of who are wrestlers that I remember specifically laughing out loud, like physically chuckling, and obviously R-Truth was one of the first ones that came to mind because there's not been a moment he's been on and then I'm amazed while he's in the ring because he's actually a very underrated wrestler as well. But Jericho, though, when he's not playing his more serious roles, he literally got a little bit of the bubbly over so hard. And it was just him going off the hip. Like, it wasn't supposed to be that funny, but it fucking was. He's just a naturally funny dude. The whole him and KO summer friendship thing, like that. He just when he turns it on to be funny, the shit is hilarious.
The 1001 moves.
Yeah, dude. From the get-go, the dude was hilarious. When he figured out that he could be funny and get to the audience that way. Because I think he was
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the whole Ralphus thing. Ralphus was a fucking truck driver that worked for WCW. He's like, hey, you want to be my security? It would be funny.
Yeah.
And Ralph's like, okay, no teeth, fucking.
No. He's Jericho, regardless of how I feel, if I knew him personally, might be a different story. But Jericho as a wrestling character or a wrestler is one of the best of all time in general, I would have to say. If the Mount Rushmore had 6 people on it, he would be most definitely on it, in my opinion. But as far as funny wrestlers, though, he's in mine. And then, because you took R-Truth, this one is kind of a, phone a friend kind of choice because there's a lot more of them. But Scott Steiner, like, I don't care.
I don't think he's funny for the right reasons.
I don't care if he was ever funny once in his career. That math promo is enough. That is the funniest shit, wrestling or otherwise. Almost like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
And still makes me chuckle out loud every time I watch it. I don't care how many times I've seen it.
And still, it's being referenced today if you watch NXT.
Yeah, it's still a massive meme whether you're a wrestling fan or not. Like, it was so fucking good.
I just watched it again the other day.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I just get in the mood to watch it. You watch it like probably half a dozen times a year. But at one point, I never noticed it before, but Scott was doing his math and it was what the fuck, and Petey Williams went, what the fuck? And then he snapped right back into character, like, yeah.
It's almost as good as like, you know, the Booker T
Oh yeah.
on live TV. Like we all know the moment. Like those moments are my favorite just because it's live TV. That's not supposed to happen. That's like, you know, Psycho Sid. We're live, pal. Like it's just, oh God. But Steiner's just naturally funny. I don't think he meant to be in the beginning. He's just so like animated and hyped up that it, you know, and you could put Flair in there. You could put, there are, you know, there, if you're a good wrestler, you're probably got to have a little humor to you because
Yeah.
that'll lead into, before we get there, we do have a rant this week by band from Ringside podcast, Jason Cornelius Bell. And let's go ahead and jump into that because we've got a what if this week, guys. First time in like a couple months. So give us just a second. Let's hear what JCB has to say. I'm sure he's on point per usual. And we'll be back with you in just a second.
He's heating up.
This is Banned from Ringside.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy JCB, Jason Cornelius Bell. I'm back with my weekly rant. This week's rant is going to be on something a little different. AEW is my rant this week. Kyle O'Reilly and Johnny Gargano are both going to be up for contract. The rumor is that Kyle O'Reilly is on the way to AEW. Johnny Gargano is 50-50. I'll say it right now. I think he actually stays on the main roster. I don't think you make a big deal about him saying goodbye to Johnny Gargano if he's actually going to AEW. That's just my guess. Anyway, the rumor is, especially with Kyle O'Reilly, that he is on the way to AEW. Look, I like AEW like the next person, but you just can't keep signing every single person that comes up to AEW. At some point, guys are going to get lost in the shuffle. Guys are going to get forgotten about. See Brian Cage. See Scorpio Sky. These are guys. Scorpio Sky is one of the guys that, was an original guy. He was the first, member of SCU with him and Kazarian. They were the tag team champions, first tag team champions. He was the guy that beat Chris Jericho, and then it just kind of went away. Brian Cage, ton of fanfare, came in, won the ladder match, lost to Moxley in his title match, got the FTW championship. I guess that was okay, but now he's gone. Slowly but surely, Big Swole asked for her release. Slowly but surely, you're going to get guys and girls to the point where they are no longer wanting to wait for their turn. And it's going to sound like WWE all over again. And there's an easy way to get around that. You just have to stop signing talent. Okay, there's certain guys that you're just going to have to sign. I get it. When Bryan Danielson comes around, you got to sign him. When Adam Cole, baby, comes around, you got to sign him. Kyle O'Reilly isn't a must-sign guy. So I don't see why you have to go out of your way to get him. There is plenty of talent on this roster. This roster is loaded. Kenny Omega is gone, and they're not missing a beat. Not everybody has to go to AEW, guys, okay? Kyle O'Reilly can bounce around to the Indies for a little bit, and then if he wants to go to AEW, if it makes sense at that point, then go ahead and do it. Right now, I'm just a little scared that Kyle O'Reilly is going to get lost in the sauce, and he'll be no different off in AEW than he would be on the WWE main roster. You can quote me on that. If not, so what? It's your boy JCB. I'm out.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Oh, actually, I can just change the background.
Oh yeah. Hey.
All right. So again, thank you, JCB, for the weekly rant. Thank you, Band from Ringside podcast, for always, letting Jason come and play. You can find Band from Ringside podcast on Twitter at BFR Pod, at BFR JCB, at BFR Zach with an H, at BFR Bill. Every Friday, they drop a new episode. They're in like the 200 or 300s at this point. If you haven't listened to Band from Ringside podcast, okay, because I'm alumni, maybe I'm biased, but I also was a fan before I got a part of the show. They're fucking hilarious. They have really good and sometimes really bad wrestling takes. All in all, entertaining as shit. And I love those guys a lot. So go over and check them out. Without wasting too much time, we have a what if this week, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to spend a little bit talking about it, and it's going to, again, kind of tie everything in that this episode's been doing so far, which is you know, first, we haven't done this in a while, and we're in this convenient ski lift that we are going
Oh,
to call our time ski lift, our time machine lift, and we're going to strap ourselves in. We're going to punch in the coordinates, and we're going to fucking go sideways in time, guys. Wow. Wow. Oh, turbulence. So, yeah, again, you're just going to have to watch the video on YouTube because it's not going to make it any better if you do, but at least you'll understand what we're doing. Anyways, so we're going to do a what if that is what if wrestling wasn't funny. And I don't know if that's the best title, but because it goes a little
what if,
deeper than that.
what if there was no comedy in wrestling? No
Right.
humor in wrestling.
Right. Say essentially the same thing. So the idea being that obviously there's a lot of humor in wrestling, and personally, I'm a fan when it's done correctly because I love comedy. Clearly, you love comedy. Most people do, and I think the crucial thing about comedy and wrestling is to make sure, and maybe I'm off, but is to make sure that everyone involved, including the crowd and the talent and everybody, doesn't take it too seriously. Because obviously, especially these days, I think everybody mostly knows, unless they're 3 or 4 or 5 years old, that wrestling is a form of entertainment more than it is a competitive sport.
What?
Right. Santa, hail Santa. So, anyways, that was a joke that we had in a pre-meeting before the show that doesn't land if you didn't hear the joke originally. So, anyway,
It didn't land when I heard the setup either.
I kind of figured. So, fucking prick. So, anyways, but I have to say, like, okay, let's break it down. So there's different there's different chunks of pro wrestling. There's a lot of different genre hopping within the world of pro wrestling, right? So you've got your sport and action and competitive side. You've got the fantastical, fantasy kind of realm, with your Malachi Blacks and Undertaker and Nikki, who's a sort of a superhero or whatever it's called, and fucking the Green Lantern guy, Hurricane, anyways. So you've got that stuff. You've got the drama kind of soap opera side of it. You've got your hardcore shit, so you've got like the brutal side for the more, horror fans, that kind of thing. And then you've got the comedy. You got the humor. You mix all those things. You got music and everything else, but you mix all those things together and you get a halfway decent pro wrestling program as long as everything's on point, right?
Throw some panties and boots in that cauldron.
Yeah, right.
And
and then
pull
you got
out
the Divas
Daniel
era.
Bryan.
Oh, well, same thing. They were both from the same time period.
Wait, who'd you say?
The Diva era. So, and he married one of them, so it makes sense. Full circle. So, anyways, but I think if you take away the brutal stuff from pro wrestling, okay, you still have a decent pro wrestling program, right? Not everybody likes the hardcore stuff. You take away the drama, people have done it, and the soap opera stuff makes it more of a legitimate contest style pro wrestling. Again, it still kind of lands. You can take certain parts of it away and it would still work, but I think, in my personal opinion, for the type of fan that I am, if you take away comedy in wrestling, boring as fuck. Because even the best and most gnarly horror movie has little specks of comedy. Even Sopranos, Breaking Bad, all of those extremely dramatic shows and movies have little bits of comedy. It's important. It's the drama and the comedy, like it's theater. It all goes back to the original days of theater in general and why comedy was kind of weird to even call funny things comedy if you look in a traditional sense. Comedy was a drama. It kind of was the same thing. So for me personally, having little bits of comedy and having gimmicks that are funny or moments that are able to not take everything else so seriously, it extremely helps the product, in my opinion. I think it makes it a better product when you have time to stop and laugh, even in serious moments in pro wrestling.
Yeah, I see it as it's, just one piece of the pro wrestling pie. Like all the stuff you said, the athleticism, the drama, the hardcore, and all that stuff. Yeah, and I mean, I don't remember comedy being that big a deal way back in the 80s when I was watching. You had your shocking stuff, there was some humor, but it wasn't, it wasn't as prominent.
Right.
So, I mean, and then, I go back and watch some of the, old Mid-South and AWA stuff. Humor was almost non-existent. So it's, it's kind of a new development.
Time. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
again,
it's kind of formed to not take it too seriously because people started to catch on.
Yeah. Back then it was real. I mean, shit, you look, fucking Roddy Piper got stabbed and people got shot and people, now that it's more of a performance and everybody's in on the secret, I think they could get away with a lot more humor. But if you were to take it away now, it would be so dull. I mean, you look at the Dark Order now, would they be as interesting if they weren't funny?
It's hard to say, but I don't think they would. I think everybody was already burnt out on Dark Order before they kind of went comedy.
Yeah, they would be kind of brooding and stuff. And you would take away a whole layer of characters that, I mean, you wouldn't have somebody like Santino Marella,
who was hilarious.
Yeah. You wouldn't have now it wouldn't work today, but you wouldn't have Eugene. You wouldn't have, I mean, shit, Regal and Tajiri. It was one of the funniest fucking tag teams. Undisputed Era had a lot of humor.
Look at all the stuff that Kane did later on.
Yeah, Kane and Daniel Bryan.
Even adding Undertaker into comedic segments where he wasn't necessarily the one being funny, but was the straight guy in a funny act, made it that much. Well, it's the entertainment side, I think, is what did it, honestly.
Yeah. Riddle wouldn't get over.
Right. Stone Cold, The Rock, like all of the ones we just mentioned. Mick Foley would have died after, or the Mankind gimmick would have died after it was, people were burnt out on him being this crazy guy and tortured soul in the brown suit. Like he would have never been the Manimal or the Mr. Sacco Mankind ever. He would have never been Have a Nice Day.
So could you do it without him?
Yeah, you could. I don't think I would enjoy it though.
But yeah, it wouldn't be as entertaining. I mean, you watch like MMA or football or any other, actual legit sport, I guess.
Right.
And there's really not a lot of humor in that. And if this were being portrayed as a legit sport, we all know, the cat's out of the bag. We all know that it's all scripted and predetermined and stuff. Right. I think, and once that happened, that's when you had to get more into the entertainment. I wonder if you look back, is that when was the steroid trial when they had to admit that everything was staged?
90.
It was early 90s.
95? Something.
I thought it was earlier than that. But
well, let's see. WWF Steroid Trial. It was definitely, let's see, year. Put the year in there. I forgot that I have a computer in front of me. 94.
Okay,
it was
94.
Decided in 94. So
but they admitted that stuff beforehand,
right.
And if you look, I mean, they had outlandish characters. They had Jimmy Snuka, they had Tito Santana. They had, they were outlandish but stereotypical stuff. But then if you look, because I wanted to see this, because I think that's about the time where you got the extreme gimmicks.
Yep.
You got the Doink the Clown and Blue Blazer, and I mention them all the time. Duke the Drumster Drosy and Bastion Booger. So, Max Moon, they all came out.
I was a kid when those gimmicks were made, and they were tailored towards me, and I hated all of them.
But I'm thinking they had to do that because of the steroid trial.
yeah,
So
yeah,
because
100%.
the curtain was pulled back, they're like, well, fuck it. So they tried, and I think that's when humor came into wrestling for mainstream.
I don't disagree with that. That would actually be a fun thing to break down and really, because I've never really looked at it like that as to why.
Yeah, it just popped in my head.
The steroid trial
I
definitely.
used.
That would be a decent what if. It's on the record. What if the steroid trial never happened?
Oh yeah. Oh. Oh.
How about
oh
that?
Man, God.
How about that, man?
Man, you're smart and sexy.
Hey.
You're like the total package.
I know.
Lex Luchar.
That's my Twitter handle next week. Lex Lucha. Oh. Well,
take that, BFR Bill.
Because right now, see, I'm stealing his thunder, but only on Twitter and not on the show. So right now I'm Bay Mysterio.
I loved Maeve Delzer.
Maeve Delzer, 5 stars.
Because the funny thing, I'm scrolling Twitter and I see Maeve Delzer like this, Maeve Delzer like that, or Maeve Delzer replied. I'm like, who the fuck is Maeve? And then I see your profile picture. I'm like, that motherfucker.
Got it. So yeah, I think I mean honestly, I think this was a quick what if because it's more of it's a subjective. I prefer a little bit of comedy if it's done correctly in my wrestling.
Yeah, if it's done correctly.
I don't think I would like it as much. Like I think if it was just serious, that's part of why I don't really watch a lot of actual sports. It's just because then where's I like to be entertained as much as I love great pro wrestling. I also really love to be entertained in between. There's got to be something to keep me coming back. And, I named like Kurt Angle is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Aside from his gimmick, as far as being a wrestler, the dude is one of my favorites ever. So like the fact that he was able to add the comedy on top of it when it was necessary just helped me love him that much more. So that being said, hey everybody, thanks for joining us on this journey back in time to find out what comedy wrestling shows.
You were doing so well, and then you had to.
It's because it's cold out here on this.
I know. You want me to warm you up, baby?
Oh,
put my arm around you.
Put your little nub around me. Oh, whoa. Okay. So let's get out of here. Let's find somewhere else to go that doesn't make me anywhere near as uncomfortable.
I hope it's a bathhouse.
I wish it was. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just go to the kitchen. Oh. Okay. So.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And your friend are going to bring you big. And your friend and your broccoli and your friend.
Please watch the YouTube videos. And I mean, dislike it if you have to. Just you gotta, because you're not gonna know what madness is happening unless you're watching. Your nub isn't coming over to my side. Just stop trying to touch me. So we're gonna do some odds and ends, and then we're gonna get the fuck out of here. You guys with me? All right, let's do it. So a couple of things we definitely need to talk about. Obviously, one of the things everybody's talking about right now is Kevin Owens and the shock that heard around the world about him re-signing with the WWE instead of letting his contract expire. Patrick, what are your thoughts? Because I've got a few things I want to mention about this.
Good on Kevin if they offered him a really good deal. I mean, he's got a family to support. He's a working man as much as I want to see him outside of WWE. At the same time, it's like, you got a good thing going there. The thing that worries me though is, and I mean, I'm some fucking idiot from Kansas City, so what the fuck do I know?
Right.
But
yeah, I agree.
You see these. Thank you. You see these people that resign and then they get released. What kind of guarantee do you have that? I mean, it's, I signed a contract for X number of years for X number of millions, because he's already one of the more well paid.
Right.
I hope he got it in there to where he's like, you can't just fucking cut me. Yeah. If that's all possible. But I mean, I'm happy for him. I love Kevin Owens. He looks like the guy that yells at his kids at Walmart at 11 o'clock at night because if they get the toy they want, he can't get his case of Natty Ice Tall Boys. But he's still a great. That's what he looks like to me. But he's still a great performer. And
If you
he's another
drank
funny
one
one.
Natty Ice, you'd be so drunk in this kitchen right now.
Yeah, but the nice thing about Natty Ice, first one goes down like razor blades. After that, they're smooth as fuck.
So smooth. Especially get the fucking lemonade ones or whatever the fuck they made. Those. Oh my god.
What the fuck? I don't know. I haven't had
They
a
made
Natty
pink
Ice.
lemonade natty, and I'm not gonna lie, it was actually kind of good. It tasted.
Oh,
like
see, I haven't had
lemonade.
a Natty Ice in years. It was either Natty Ice Tall Boys or Milwauke's Best Ice.
I
The
used to drink
Beast.
Beast Ice. Yeah, frozen Beast.
Tall Boy. We used to get those at the Class 6 at Fort Benning. If payday fell, because we got paid on the 1st and the 15th, if payday fell the weekend or after the weekend, we would scrounge up literally our change, and you could get a case 24 Tall Boys
for like $8.
Six or seven.
Yeah.
And it was
Beast,
tax
baby.
free too because it was on base. And
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Good shit. So. I don't
And
know
that's
if
what you call pre-alcoholism, boys and girls.
for all you young listeners out there. I
Stay
know.
away from the sauce.
Well, that, and I've also looked at our at our numbers on Anchor, and only people like your age listen to the show. So
Yeah.
what's up all you cool cats?
Okay.
and
Well, fucking,
kittens at the
put
nursing
the
homes?
Natty Ice down and pick up the Metamucil. I don't fucking.
So anyway, so I don't know if you heard this part of it, but Meltzer reported that WWE is paying him $2 to $3 million to stay, which is outrageous. And that his new contract pays him somewhere between $2 or $3 million per year for the next 3 years. But the most important part, though, is, and I had this discussion with my brother yesterday before I found this out. The contract does not is not attached with a no cut agreement. So they just gave him $2 to $3 million a year for 3 years, but could cut him tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll see. He said that he's stoked that it was an easy decision to make because when you throw numbers like that at him, his family is good to go. And obviously that's where he is in his life anyways. And that's where, okay. And this is, so BFR Zach with an H on Twitter, he had retweeted it and said something along the lines of great take, was his retweet quote. And it was Ryan Drosty. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. On Twitter said, I suspect that when the history books are written on this chapter of WWE/AEW, we will look at Kevin Owens as one of the first people to capitalize in a major way when it comes to contract negotiation leverage. This is why competition is good. The wrestlers benefit big time. And he's right. So this is like, it kind of almost feels like a reverse Kevin Nash moment of WCW, where he went in and said, I want a guarantee. And that changed everything about wrestling contracts. It's kind of the same way. So a guy like Kevin Owens, he's getting older. His body's pretty beat up. He's making millions of dollars a year to support his family and possibly be on TV, just kind of being Kevin Owens, making money. At this point in his life, is he mad about that? No, he had a choice to go and do something else. If you want to be artistic, go somewhere else where they'll pay you a little less to be able to get yours, is what I'm saying. If you want to sit back and get paid pretty to be an entertainer and be in the WWE and either be used or not used, I'm not knocking that at all. Go and do what you want to do and get what you want out of it. So if you want money out of it, go make money if they're going to pay you. If you're going to go to somewhere like AEW instead, or somewhere else where you can be creatively paid basically for your time, if that's the type of wrestler you want to be, you don't care as much about the money but want to be creative, go do that. That's the beauty of all this wrestling right now, is that everybody can go where they want to go and do what they want to do, how they want to do it. It's that simple.
Well, and if you look at it like, some of these wrestlers that left, I mean, even if they looked at it financially, they're like, well, I'm getting offered X amount from WWE. Now I'm getting offered X amount from Impact or AEW whatever, which is lower. But I can start up my Twitch stream again, which I was generating, blah, blah, blah. I can have my own store on PWTs. You know, I can sell my own merch. I can do my own thing, which is going to generate income. I don't know if KO was that big into the stuff outside wrestling, like Twitch stuff and stuff like that. So it might just be like, you're offering me $2 to $3 million a year to go out there and just be myself, you know.
Which means he'll more than likely be kept mostly in the upper, you know, echelon of main events and or the top tier of the mid card. You know, he's and if he's not, I'm sure he'd also be happy to just kind of sit and get paid at home. Like,
yeah, but if he was doing that, then they would cut him, I bet. If they were like, why, you know.
Right. No, I agree, but I think it's good. I think it's a good thing. To be honest, we've talked about this. I didn't necessarily want to see KO go to AEW. I don't know what he would do in Impact. Like at this point, he's a WWE guy. Like, and I'm cool with that. Like I don't want to see everybody end up in AEW. I think where it comes down to is that I think people want to see people go where they want to go to do what they like to do and be free to do it. And that place just happens to be AEW right now. But I think it's more the idea of going to a place that allows them to be that way and use them correctly than it is everybody having to go to AEW. Because it's already starting to get inflated and he's talking about more coming. So with Ring of Honor, like we're gonna get Malachi's thing from Dynamite, Winter is Coming. You know, he hugged a guy and said, I think don't quote me exactly, but it said something about you used to be a king.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's Brody King. So one of Ring of Honor's biggest prospects, you know, is now probably all elite. Yeah. So they're
he and Malachi are buddies, and they're tag team champs in another promotion. I think is it GCW?
No, it's not GCW. I think it's I can't remember what it is.
Anyway, right after we recorded last week, I found out Jeff Hardy got released too.
Yeah. So we can talk a little bit about that. We're running out of time, but yeah, we can talk about that.
The only thing I see him going to AEW for like a 6-month run, just to have a final run with Matt.
I agree.
And then I would like to see them both right off and into the sunset.
They need to win the tag titles in AEW.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens.
Because
I'm okay with that.
Because they've been tag champs in WWE,
Ring of Honor,
Impact, Ring of Honor,
WWE. They technically had the WCW titles during the Invasion years, which, you know, I count it. I'll count it for them. A couple of indie promotions, Omega, which is their promotion. I don't think they ever had AAA, but for the most part, they've had every major tag team title around their waist in the United States.
So I would like to see him come in for 6 months to a year, just do a little run, and then see them both right off, and see Matt in more of a managerial role, and then Jeff just doing whatever he does. But I think it's time for them to start wrapping up the in-ring.
I agree. If they're going to do this on their way out and do some variation or evolution of the broken thing on their way out, I think that's probably honestly their best bet. Matt used to do it with the Lake of Reincarnation thing, where he would bring back a bunch of gimmicks every time he was washed in the waters. Maybe they could do something like that, to where they could do a send-off of all of their, bring Willow in, bring Brother Nero in, you know, and because look, I love Jeff Hardy. I am that generation of kids. I think Gary J can agree with this. I think we had this discussion before. Like, when we started training for wrestling, we went in there with the baggy black pants and the fishnet shirts, and we're doing the fucking gun thing. Like, everybody thought they were Jeff Hardy at my age when we were growing up. There's no knocking Jeff Hardy, but I'm just not as interested in what it was with him now. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So I respect him. I think he's Hall of Fame worthy 1,000% on any spectrum. Like, those two together clearly are one of the most influential tag teams of all time. You know, whether they're the best or not is another story, but Jeff Hardy will end up there. And then, like you said, I hope they do a quick one-off, like, last chapter, and then he does whatever. I just don't, I don't want to see Jeff Hardy as AEW World Champion.
No,
You know,
he
like-
never would.
No, but so, anyways, hey, I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us this week. One last thing before we get out of here. Two last things real quick. We'll see you at Journey Pro tonight. I know I said tonight. That's because this airs a day late. We'll see you tonight at Blimp for Journey Pro.
Blip.
That's what I said.
You said blimp.
I said blip.
I swear it sounds like
I
you're
have
saying.
a stuffy nose.
Oh,
All my M's and B's, they sound the same. So, anyways, we'll see you there tonight. It's going to be an amazing show. There's been a little bit of a card change, but I don't have time to go through it right now. So look it up on Twitter. It's at JourneyProKC. So, and also, as always, jump over to Sideways in Time Network on YouTube. Give us a like, subscribe, share it, watch all the videos, thumbs up all those videos if you're watching them. You're going to help us out. And again, as I say every week, the more you guys interact with us on the YouTube channel, the more we see you guys are actually paying attention to the YouTube channel, the more content we will start dropping. We actually are working on a pretty big project as we speak, that will probably end up there as well. It's way smaller. That's more like it. Anyways, everybody, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Oh, I was going to say, I appreciate you, Patriot Pat. If you're watching YouTube, you'll 100% understand why I just hesitated saying that. YouTube, please don't report us. Anyways, Patriot Pat is here, everybody, and yeah, I lost the ending. Oh wait, before we go, Patrick,
Yes.
tell them what they need to do.
they need to. Oh, we're in a gallery now. I'm art.
Just the
Um,
two of us.
Well, first off, they need to go on Twitter and
You
search
and
for
I.
DAGG69 or something like that, and tell them to fuck off.
Oh, poor dog.
Fuck dog. And then secondly, like I'm going to do tonight at Journey Pro, or on the 23rd of January when I meet Uncle Mick Foley. You see your favorite wrestler, feel free to mark the fuck out.
All right, everybody. We will see you next week. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. Hey.